Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to the Writing for Screens Screenwriting Step-by-Step Project, episode number 99. My name is Glenn Gers, and I am here every weekday, if I can make it, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is my time zone, and I come here every afternoon to walk you through my process of writing a TV drama pilot script. I am doing this live every day. I do not know what's going to happen every day. I do not know where this is going. But I am doing this in order to teach screenwriting because I believe that while there is a lot of stuff to be learned in terms of theory and the results that you can get and the thing you're trying to get to, the one thing that nobody seems to teach is how you actually do that on a day-to-day, line-by-line, page-by-page basis. And that's a really big part of screenwriting. You got to be able to do that stuff, and no one talks about it. So I am here doing this experiment, letting you look over my shoulder, share my screen as I figure this out. We started with just some rough ideas, a couple of lines, and then we worked up an outline, and that took a few months, and now we are almost done with the rough draft. Been doing the rough draft for 50 episodes now. Almost done, then I'm going to rewrite it, probably rewrite it again after that. So I am glad to have you drop in now and then if you feel like it, if you think it's helpful. Hello, Kirby Light. Howdy. And Larry. No, weren't you here yesterday or the day before? Anyway, which is troubling. If you don't know that, and I do. All right, so let us get to it because we are almost done with the rough draft, and it is rough. I will say it is a rough draft, but oh, thank you, Phil J. We have hit a fascinating part. I just spent a little while kind of pre-thinking this because as much as I do like to do this while you're watching, the truth is it takes a lot of thinking and a lot of planning to write something, and sometimes it's good for me to be a little bit prepared before I take you through these steps. So this is where we got up to now. Oh, on time. Yes. Hey, welcome. And you know, I'm not actually keeping records on who shows up on time. Hello, Roddy. Good to see you all. It's great. We are at a massive important point here, which is I write. Hi. I write. I will answer your email as soon as I can. I just got it. And thank you. By the way, yes, for those of you who don't know it, I do try to answer questions here. I answer them when people ask me stuff in the chat, but also if you are watching this recorded, if you're not watching this live, but you've got it on the channel, you can still ask me questions, at least for now. While I am still doing this thing, I am happy to answer. All you have to do is go to writingforscreens.com and click on Contact Me. There's a little button that says Contact Me all over the place. You do that, opens it up. It will make an email form that you send me a direct email. I will try to answer directly. If for some reason you hate email or you hate my website, you can ask questions right here in the on the channel in the comments section. Just ask a question. I will do my best to answer it. Hello, Andrea. So here's the deal, everybody. This is where we are. We got to the point at which the killer calls in. The serial killer that they are hunting telephones them. Twist. This is the point at which we are getting to the end of the pilot where something absolutely new has to happen. It doesn't have to, but usually in most pilots, they're setting up a world, setting up a situation, and then towards the end of the pilot, something is going to happen which changes the situation or changes our understanding of it, which says, while this was a good story up to now this thing has happened, which makes you want to know more, makes you want to come back for the second episode. There's just a practical level of we want to keep people coming back. So you want to put in what is essentially a reveal, a hook, a new piece of information. And in this case, that is that the serial killer did not do it. That's the big news. Hi, Ellen. Hi, Maria. Boy, everybody's here. This is great. We got the whole crowd here. So I was explaining that we are at the climax of the pilot. And at the climax of most pilots, you want to reveal or twist something new. Something should be happening, which makes you say, I thought I knew what this was going to be, and now it's getting more complicated. It's getting more interesting. It's making me want to watch the rest to find out what happens. And we are at that point where Deakins, the serial killer, calls them on the telephone. Thank you, Maria. Oh, by the way, guys, we're doing a little just going to briefly stop to say we are doing a little technical experiment here, and I almost am afraid to mention this, but I've been having a lot of trouble with my camera. I thought it was the battery. I now believe it was the cord that connects the camera to the computer and thus sends you a signal. And I think that I have solved this with, and we are testing this out today, Scotch tape. I have taped the wire onto the arm that it's onto so that it doesn't wiggle. So hopefully that will help. Let's see if that works out. Just a little behind the scenes technology here. Scotch tape on the wire. Hey, zero. It says 0 people in the chat for you. For me, it says 9 people in the chat. Okay. Hey, Natasha. Good to see. They changed the channel name? That's disturbing. Pardon me while I briefly check. So you're saying, wait, did my channel name change? Hold on a second. Live on your channel, Writing for Screens. Well, Writing for Screens. It looks okay to me. I'm living with it. I'm getting back to work because we're here to learn writing. Okay, so let's do this. So I did some work here on the outline because we've got to step away from the text for a little bit today to think about who is this guy, because earlier on when I was first, she changed her channel name. Okay, cool. I apologize. Hey, Natasha, photography and typewriters is cool. I am good. Got it. Okay, thank you. Got it. Yeah. All right, old guy running a YouTube channel. This is what's going to happen. Okay. The main thing is Deakins. Let's talk here about the overview. The overview is kind of my Bible of the show. It is my understanding of what's going on, my big picture, each character. I try to analyze each character and the basic big shape of the plot and the themes. It's where I put down the stuff that isn't necessarily in an outline, but it's important. It's the bedrock, the structure of the script. And what I've had here is for Elmore Deakins, the serial killer. Originally, when I first thought of him, I was thinking a lot about what do you want to do with a serial killer. Serial killers are a cliche. You have to be careful. And that, thank you, Maria. She says, I'm not old, just wise. And that is both are true. Anyway, the thing about serial killers is we romanticize. Serial killers are kind of fun. And I'm wrestling with that in this project. And I have not come to a full statement yet, a theme. One of the things I believe about themes are, a theme is not just, and I'm just going to mention this, there's a whole video, theme. Okay. So I would suggest you think, when I say theme, what I'm saying is it's not just a topic like serial killers. It's a statement about, you're taking a stand on that idea, that subject. You're not just war. it's too big. You can't just say the theme is war, which means anytime I refer to war, I'm on theme. That's just cheesy, cheap thinking. Real theme is when you say, I have a belief or a statement or a question even. It doesn't have to be, you can say, is war ever justified? That could be your theme. And you may never not come down on that. It's cool. The question is, though, what precisely are you saying about war? It could be a question. In my case, about serial killers, I'm not sure what I want to say, but one thing I know I want to say is we shouldn't have too much fun with murderer. That's as much as, and this is a tough balance because we find entertainment in terrible things. So that's one thing that I'm wrestling with here. But then the other thing I've come up with is he is a retired serial killer. And the question then is, if someone has stopped doing bad things, should they be forgiven? Now, let's look into this right away. There is a question. There's a difference between being forgiven and going unpunished, and that's important to get to. But the main thing is, all right. So one of the things that we get to with when this guy shows up is that if he says he's a retired monster, the question is, why did he stop? Which gets to, why did he do it? Well, if you're asking why somebody stopped serial killing, it's also that's got to be intimately involved in why he was doing it. I'm going to get into that now. I'm going to go into notes here because I don't know what I'm thinking yet. So we're going to need to do some work here. I like to think out loud on paper. I don't do it. I haven't done it much. It's been a while. So let's talk about Deacon's serial killing, retirement, forgiveness. Okay. So we got a topic here that I'm going to try and get into. But I'm going to take a moment first because you guys have been ripping through the chat here, so I want to just find out what's going on. All right, cool. This is a very useful question. When you are talking about future episodes, when you have hooks that are going to be leading to other things, what is the most effective way to communicate this with the showrunner? Well, that's interesting. That's assuming you have a showrunner. You are writing, ideally, in theory, you're writing a pilot script. So there is no showrunner. You're the showrunner at the moment. If you, what I think everyone here is doing, you're writing your first script. You're writing you're trying to break in. If you actually have a showrunner, they'll tell you how to communicate with them. Some of them will say, write me an email. Some of them will say, write me a memo. Some will say, come into my office and talk to me. So the question of how to communicate with a showrunner, that's kind of a, depends on the showrunner, and we should all be so lucky that you have that problem. The real question here is, how do you communicate the future episodes in a pilot presentation? Because the thing is, a pilot is only just the tip of the iceberg for a good series. And very often there are going to be things, big reveals like 4 episodes in and 12 episodes in. And the question is, how do you reveal that? And that is something that I will talk about when we are done with this rough draft, which is the series outline and the overview. And what I'm going to be getting to is what I am calling the pitch document. This is a thing, sometimes some people call it the Bible. Something. Along with the pilot, you probably want to prepare something which you can leave behind. I like the idea that you give them, could be 3 pages, could be 15 pages, depends, but something that sketches out the shape of the series. You don't have to fully know all of it, but you've got to tell them what they are getting into. What are they signing on for? If they love your pilot, they're still going to want to know, what's the show? what's the show as a whole? Where does this pilot lead in a general sense? You don't have to have blocked out every single step. So one of the things that I will do in this series, in Step by Step, is we're going to create a pitch document for this series. So we will get to that. I hope that helps you, Phil. If not, please ask further. Can you give us some examples of TV series and their twists at the end of the pilot episodes for a reference? Sure. Now, I'm going to be doing some spoiling, but that's okay because they are, after all, pilots. The one that comes to mind right away, actually, there's a couple. The one that comes around right away for me is Mad Men, because that's a really big one. Not a big show. It is a big show. It's a phenomenal show. It's marvelous, but it's very well constructed in the sense that the entire pilot episode, you're meeting this main character, Don. Here, let's talk. In Mad Men, you meet this character named Don. You meet his office. You meet all the ensemble of people he works with. You understand his conflicts within the company and personally regarding his work as an advertising man in changing times, and at the same time, you see that he's having a sort of difficult, weird relationship with this woman in Greenwich Village. He seems like he's having a sad bachelor's life, but full of intrigue in that sense. You certainly want to know what is going on with him romantically. At the end of this hour, when you've seen all this about him, you follow him and he goes home to his house in the suburbs where he is met by his wife and 2 kids. And they close the door and you think, what? This guy who we've been watching go through this crisis with having this affair with this village woman and all this stuff, we never understood that he's married, which gets to the central core of Mad Men's character arc, which is Don has multiple lives. Don has a split in himself in which he does not allow us to see the whole person. And that gets really interesting as it goes along. But at the moment, simply the reveal that this man who we thought was living this New York City life actually also has a wife and children in the suburbs and a whole other identity. That's the reveal of Mad Men. And it's brilliantly done. It just because it's so simple. It's just like, what? I did not see that coming, which is true. You don't. In Breaking Bad, I don't remember all the details, but what I know is that basically in the pilot episode, you find out how and why this poor middle-aged man has ended up out in the desert with his pants off, recording a suicide video, and getting ready to shoot it out with the police. And there, you go back in time and you discover that he's a chemistry teacher in a high school who is terminally ill and is trying to provide financially for his family after his death. So he is trying to manufacture and sell meth. And that has gotten way more complicated and violent than he expected. And at the very, very end, there is a sense that the problems which seem settled by the violence of the last half part of the story are not done. The story is not done. The issues that they have raised by starting to cook meth in this town where there are established meth dealers, those dealers, they ain't dead. They ain't over. So Breaking Bad, many, many, many pilots have this. So I would just say, look at the pilots that you like and see how they're structured. That's really the key. Look at the ones you like and notice how they are structured. I am willing to bet that somewhere in the last 5-10 minutes of every pilot that you like, there's going to be something revealed or added or changed, something big, which sets up the overall tension of the series. Okay, so that's what we're working on here. I'm just going to say thank you to Lamia. And I got some questions with Pilot. That explains a lot. And the answer is not in the pilot. You do it in a separate document, and we are going to do that here. We are going to walk through that. That will be in a couple, I mean, we're going to start it soon, probably in January. Hey, Janae. I am just quickly running through. Okay. All right. Natasha, I'm going to get to your question in a bit, but I do need to do some work on my script here. All right. So the big question is, what is the story? What is the story of Deakins in this series? This is the biggest, most important question. For instance, in the overview, I try to give myself like a little one line, one sentence hook of what each character, what the center is for them. For Xena, I believe that the center is she's driven by greed and desire for attention, and in the course of this story, she is coming apart at the seams. This is a story of someone degrading, to get self-destructing, and in the course of that becoming more and more dangerous to everyone else. So that's what I believe Xena is. Likewise, I believe that Madeline's story is coming of age at 54 years old. That's her story. So when we get to Deakins, oh gosh, where is my notes? What is his story? He is retired, but this is going to bring him back to murder. So the question is it you can't help but be who you are? Is that it? Or is it the famous Godfather 3 line, just when you think you're out, they drag you back in? Is that it? Or is this in some form unfinished business? Unfinished business will not let you go. See, I like all these, so I'm going to copy them and put them here. So we got, let's see, where are we? Deakins, where are ya? There you are. So now these are possible summations, hooks for the character. Or is it just people force you to kill them? That's a possible, like it could be that just like, which is kind of this one. It's kind of just when you drag it, it's like he's trying not to kill it, and these people are just so infuriatingly meddlesome that they are pushing him. They deserve to be killed in his. This is seeming interesting. I kind of like that. Or is it other people's perceptions can push you to be someone you don't want to be? That's interesting too. The idea that these people saying you're a serial killer, even though he's saying, actually, I think these two together. These two together strike me as two sides of the same problem, which is that he is trying to change. But if everyone is treating you with suspicion, if everyone is angry at you, even though you are trying to be better, does that force you into the very thing that they say you're not, that they hate you for, that you're trying not to be? Um, These are interesting. This strikes me as something for if you do wrong, you can't get away unpunished. That's also it's an interesting concept that see, there's so much in life where we see this not happening, where people do get away. They get away with stuff. So so this is like wishful thinking. Wishful thinking, but interesting. All right. These are three interesting questions about serial killer story. Okay. So I'm going to take a brief pause here to talk to Natasha, Najo, Photography and Typewriters. I counted 27 characters in my screenplay. Is that too many? Okay. Now, first of all, are they 27 central, main characters? You can certainly have 27 characters in, but the question is, are you talking 27 central characters, main characters? Yeah. This is exactly it. Maria, gold star. Okay. On the other hand, yes, this is also true. Okay. Oh, Natasha has two main characters of 27. Okay. A little brief talk about number of characters. The first thing is, in general, you want to have 1, 2, maybe 3 central characters. It gets complicated when you try and have more than that. However, I gotta say, there is no rule that you can't do it if you have the skill set and understand what you're doing. I once wrote a script with 18 central characters, and I pulled it off. But you have to have that kind of mind. You have to be willing to also give them very, very quick, obvious, or distinctive story points, because they're only going to get a small portion of the time. Also, remember, it depends if it's a feature, that's different because you're limited to 2, maybe 2.5 hours. If it's a series, in theory, 27 central characters is not impossible. So that's still a lot, but it's not impossible. However, I don't like to say you can only have X or Y number of central characters, because the truth is, you can do more. Love Actually, one of my favorites, that has maybe 8 or 10 central characters, maybe even more, maybe it doesn't. And it works great. So the one thing I would say is think about your structure and what you want to do with these characters. Also, I mean, if you look at something, and admittedly, this is really a close to 6-hour movie when you put the two halves together, but the two last Avengers movies, Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, you're talking about at least 9 or 10 central characters there. On the other hand, they got 6 hours, plus they really have 22 hours previously to build up to 18 hours previously. So the answer is those movies are banking on knowledge of the previous story in some ways, or the previous stories, to understand who the characters are. But nonetheless, the answer is, in general, yeah, 2 or 3 central characters is really, you're only going to have time to fully explore them, but you can do more. It's a matter of understanding the form and knowing how to work it. So let's move on. Let's see what else you guys have been saying. Hello, Orphe. And welcome, indeed, and welcome to the community. That is for sure. Cheyenne, I know I'm very close to 5,000 subscribers. I'm going to talk about that soon. It's cool. Thank you. And Mary Fowler, I am going to ban you. Mary Fowler is a bot. Okay. Yeah, I could do super chats and memberships and stuff. And maybe I will. I kind of just want to be, like, not charge you to talk to me. At least at the moment. I am not doing that. It might be fun, but if I had like 50,000 people and I was having trouble getting to pay attention to everyone, but at the moment we're cool. Yes, this is what thank you, Maria, for getting back to this theme, because this is important. The question of whether or not people are punished for their bad acts in real life. And the answer is, we don't know how they're punished. They could be punished internally. Internal punishment. So the answer is yes, this is quite possible. It's certainly a legitimate question. Themes can often be questions. Oops. So yes, that is true. And karma, let's not even get, who knows as far as karma goes, whether or not people are getting punished. We can't really track that. Crash had quite a few central characters. Absolutely true. And another one of my favorite movies. That's controversial. A lot of people were mad when it won Best Picture, but I thought it deserved it. Also, what's Best Picture? All right. Sense8 is fabulous, by the way, but it's a series. Sense8 does introduce Sense8. If you get a chance, it's spelled SENS8. It's on Netflix series, fabulous series. Okay, let's get into this. So the one thing we know now is that this is our area of what he's going to be about. So this still doesn't answer this question, which is, what is the story of Deacon? See, now I have themes, I have ideas, but that's not the story. The story is something that happens. So let's think about what happens to Deacons. Deacon starts out, he has, for whatever reason, stopped being a serial killer. But now, amateur sleuths are hunting him. Now, admittedly, he is a serial killer or former serial killer, but the question is, he's being hunted now. So that's bad. That's hard. It's hard when you're being hunted. Admittedly, it's maybe legitimate that you're being hunted. But the point is, so I think his story is struggling not to kill. I mean, that's, yes. This just strikes me as, it's not the most original thing you've ever heard. I mean, Dexter kind of deals with this too. But I'm okay with it. I think his story is. Let's copy this into. Copy this in here. And these are some themes. Struggling not to kill. Okay, at least for the moment, we know that that is his story. This is good. We're making some progress. All right. So, now down here I have old notes, and I think a lot of this is going to change. So I'm going to make a note here. I think a lot of this is going to change. And I'm going to make that huge because I think it's going to change. All right, so trying to get a reaction from people. Okay, so all right. This is interesting. Okay. What I'm trying to think of now, actually, just to let you know, inside my thoughts here, how much of this do I need to decide right now? And I believe not that much. In order to write the pilot, or at least write the rough draft of the pilot, I don't know that I need to think out all the steps of his story. The one thing I know is that the one thing I needed to know is that he's struggling not to kill, that he actually is retired, and that these themes um, are central to him. Yeah, I'm going to keep those close together. Okay, so I think that's what we need to know right now. I'm going to just check the chat to see what's going on here. Maria's saying you guys should complete 5 cleans. We really start to flex your muscles. It depends. I would say, I mean, honestly, yeah, but not necessarily. Sometimes you wanna push yourself if you're willing to. I mean, like if you understand your explanation, if those in those 5, I would say complete 5 screenplays, but I wouldn't say don't flex your muscles. Why not in those 5 push where you want to go? And if where you want to go is outside of the boundaries of tradition, push it. See what happens. You will learn. I think Tyler Mowry is right that you want to do 5. You want to do as many as you can do. You certainly want to do a bunch, but I don't think you should spend your time necessarily starting with the convention. You might actually do well to start with whatever is your passion, and then having failed partly at it, which you will, because everything you start out with is going to have some failure in it, then you might actually want to try the traditional more. This reminds me of the famously French painting in the 19th century was ruled by the Academy. There was the French Academy of Art, and you had to learn painting according to their rules, which meant you had a certain set of steps. Everyone's painting came out the same, and I don't mean that in a bad way. There's amazing, remarkable painters from that era, and they do learn this particular style brilliantly, but it is restrictive. It is not necessarily the only way. So all I would say is if you want to learn the traditional first, cool. If you want to learn the experimental first, cool. The main thing is try and learn as much as you can, and in theory, you're going to want to learn the thing you don't do well or the thing you're not that interested in, because it will help you be good at the thing you are interested in. That's my personal opinion on that one. Yeah, I would say that, except what if you're driven by passion? What if you absolutely can see in your mind, you got it, you think you know what it's going to be like? Try writing it, see what happens. When people read it and they say couldn't follow it, then that will be educational, and you'll try one with only 4. But I would say the only thing I would say is, as a teacher, I don't necessarily prescribe a particular path, because people are different, artists are different, art is different. If you really, really love ensemble pieces and you want to just try and do it, I would say do it. Learn on the thing you care about most. But recognize that the thing you care about most, you're going to have to do a bunch of different times before you get good at it. All right. Let us talk outline. I believe these questions will arise here, but not be answered. We do not have the time, and it's inappropriate to resolve all of the characters' story in their first scene. That's what I think. So this is no longer a question, it is details. All right. Okay. So all right. Okay, this is interesting. So I'm seeing, let's see, how many other questions? Okay, this is a question. Originally, I had thought that Deakins was, that he was tracking all of these people, that he was part of this group, that he was keeping an eye on the people who were hunting him. But just yesterday, I realized it's so much more perfect. If he had no clue that George and these hunters are after him, that he doesn't care, that they're not important, that they were no threat until Xena murdered George. So let me. Okay, so the question then is, he is just finding out about this. This is an impulsive call. He has just heard about that. That's something I decided yesterday. So therefore, but even then, he's not stupid. He wouldn't necessarily call from his own number. So the question is, how is he calling? Like, how many steps does he have to take in order to call from a neutral number? He could get a burner cell phone, as they call them, a prepaid cell phone. But that requires I guess he could, maybe there's a place across the street. He's got a store. He owns a store. That would be some place that maybe he can buy a burner cell across the street. Okay, so that's looking right. Let me see if there's any other questions here. Yeah, that gets into the next section. So before I get into that, he went and bought one. Okay, so let me take a quick look at what's been happening here in the busy chat. You guys have been just chatting up a storm. Epic level procrastination. Yeah, if you're finding yourself unable to do the thing you are passionate about, your grand ambition, then start with smaller steps. Absolutely. That is a very, very useful and important tip. I would just say different people are different, so you never know. But if you are finding yourself spending 10 years procrastinating, I would say let's talk about giving yourself a smaller, simpler thing to accomplish. Phil J., small steps. Take small, practical steps. There is actually a video on that. Small steps. Watch it. It may help. Also, to help with procrastination, I am going to just advertise this video. Create a ritual. It really helps about the procrastination. And I'm also working on one about process in general. But for the moment, look at those. Yes, absolutely. Exactly. Yeah, Maria, you're not one to talk about starting with something simple. You started with something big. Okay. Just checking more. Oh, good. I'm so glad that the AMA, the Ask Me Anything about rewriting. That is great. I am so glad to hear. You always do have something to work with. That is exactly right. Oh, I'm so glad. Yay. This is great to hear. Yeah, it's tricky. Everyone has their opinions. I am probably more open-minded than most. But my theory on theories is listen to everyone, see what helps you and what applies to you. That's what you choose to follow. You don't have to follow one or the other. You have to recognize the consequences of making your choices, but everything is a choice and you're allowed to make it. Yes. Yes, that's right. Maria's first script is in an established fantasy world, and that is demanding in certain ways. But in other ways, you got something to start with. You got an existing platform in which to work. I would say that for most people, that's the genre. It doesn't have to be a specific copyrighted world, but to say, I'm going to work in the detective genre, or I'm going to work in the sci-fi end of the world genre, or I'm going to work in whatever it is. When you pick a genre, you give yourself some things to hold on to, some limits, some tradition, and that helps. Okay. Cool. Yay. All right. I know tomorrow is episode, except I'm going to give you I think tomorrow I'm going to try and do an AAMA, which means that it may be a couple days until we get to 100, but you're more than welcome. Even though you're late, C Merit, I am so glad to see you. And Sarah, who we have never talked to before. For procrastination, I suggest small steps and, hold on, create a ritual are the two that I would really suggest as very, very useful. Create a ritual, small steps, and also, honestly, think in scenes. Do I have here we go. Do I have a page count goal for the rewrite? Yes, absolutely. Well, I assume you mean page count like final, like the script should be 60-ish pages because hour long, they like it to be roughly a minute per page, which is why a feature script is between 90 and 120 pages. A half-hour scripts are tricky because they like double space everything, and so they actually run long. But I'm planning on this being about 60 pages. Excellent. Do your genre. Everybody do your genre. You are welcome. So, good cut. Oh, I got to tell you, even just quick glance at our current text, and I can tell you very little of that is going to survive. I would say maybe 30%. And that's generous. That's generous. Maybe 15%. Okay. Okay, good. Yay, glad you're watching those. Sorry you're the worst, but we can all always get better. Hey, okay. So listen, everybody, this has been a lot of fun. and we have gotten the main thing for me. The most important thing is I know what we're going to write next. I have come up with this drag back into his darkness story, and I understand at least generally what the next scene is going to be about. Yeah. I mean, do what you got to do when you're writing. We'll talk about that actually when I get into the rewrite. But right now, I'm still trying to get this thing written. So the next scene will be here, and it will be. Wait, I'm going to briefly check my calendar because I can't remember. I think I'm busy on Monday. Am I doing something Monday? What am I doing Monday? Hold on. No, we're cool. Okay, my guess is that that tomorrow I will do an Ask Me Anything, and then Monday will be the 100th, unless I just panic and don't have my Ask Me Anything prepared, in which case tomorrow will be the 100th. I'm not sure. We're just winging it, folks. We are just going on instinct as best we can. Great to talk to you guys. Great to get another step of the process. Go write something.